in Brazil. I got a student in Japan. I got one in Michigan. And I got one in Seattle. And if we start go back to the regular classroom, they won't be able to participate anymore unless we do something like this where it's mixed.
May 21, 2021 meeting of the Brentwood Rotary Club. I am Keely Hall, and I am your club president. But chances are you already knew that. Today's meeting is going to be a little different, but since we're meeting in a completely different place, chances are you already knew that as well. So we're going to do a very brief meeting today, and then we're going to get to the task at hand, which is tour. So without any further ado, Randy Bostic has our invocation, and we are going to have maybe Chief Jeff Hughes over time because he is not only our host, he is not only our program speaker, but he's also going to lead us in the pledge of the four-way test. So, Randy.
Good job, Father, we thank you for a gorgeous day. We thank you for the opportunity to be here. Father, for all that you work on the planet, this facility. Father, for the men and women who work in this facility. Father, great protection over them. Police or something to be. And Father, we're thankful that they can have this so they can protect us and do their jobs so very well. Father, we thank you for the food that we are eating. And Father, we thank you for Rotary and for what it is good. Father, we ask that you bless our efforts and we try to serve our community. And we thank you for Jesus and through this name we pray.
Amen. So we have flags on board. We have flags on the building. That's important. Yeah, got it. They're on board.
With the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we test the things we think, say, and do, one,
Is it true?
two,
Is it fair to all concerned?
three,
Will it build goodwill and benefits?
four.
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Please. And now, Jane Covington will introduce our guests and visiting Rotary.
None of you have attended Thomas Canagon so far because he's joining us again, so we're happy about that. Thanks for being here. Let's see, Julie Porter has her husband Todd with her. So, morning, that's quite happy today.
And we are going to skip out once because all again. I'm sorry, was it?
No.
Oh, we're not.
No.
We're so not going to skip out.
If you want to run, I'm happy.
Skip Hebert is also happy, so we're just going to do it.
And for 30 years, all in line. They were run, and I retired on Wednesday.
My son is flying into Montana. We haven't seen him, but I'll be here. Woo! Maybe coming here Monday. This is a week.
Yeah. Hey, what was that?
Of course, happy for this, happy for all this tour, but very thankful for this man right here.
Who else is happy? They're gonna have us back next week. Now, let me tell you a couple of things about what's going on with Martin. When we last talked, their requirement was going to be that we stay in the multipurpose room unless we have to go back. That's the only reason we leave the multipurpose room. If you leave the multipurpose room, you have to put the mask on, go backwards, take it back out, and you come back to the multipurpose room. That was the last time we talked. Since then, you said a couple of different things that were a little different than some of that, so we'll see. But right now, June 4th, at the Martin Center, bring a mask, and we'll see what happens. Yes.
Are we still coming in the door?
Yeah. So for right now, and again, I'm being joking, but the Martin Center obviously caters to a clientele that's in a higher risk demographic. So it is very legitimate for them to have a few more restrictions than they can. So for right now, do be prepared to have a mask with you for going to the bathroom. Also, you're going to enter and exit through the exterior door in the multipurpose for the multipurpose. There are actually 2 exterior doors. You can see one of them. You won't judge. Enter and exit through those exterior doors by the front. Okay. Chief Hughes has been super gracious to host us here. He has been even more gracious again, still continuing to be in offering a makeup tour for those of you, and you know who you are, who registered to come here today, but you selflessly gave up your spot. So Chief Hughes has offered a makeup tour. We will get together and decide when that date will be, but if you would like to come during that time, or if you just couldn't get enough of it and you're here today and want to come back, don't judge me. So we'll let you know what that date is, and if you would like to attend that tour, we'll call. All right. Man, that's all I got.
What do you got?
So we have a big tour, and Jeff needs a lot of time. We're going to give him from now until you all start walking out.
When we conclude,
No. Who in the room that they think you are? I was getting outside last night, talking to my friend. I had just purchased my mailbox key from the post office. I put it in my pocket. I went home, I couldn't find it. I don't know where it was. I went back to Spring Hill Street yesterday. There, the lady at the front desk said, "Here, somebody turned this in." I don't know who to thank if anybody's here, but I want to say thank you. Thank you.
Alan, will you tell the people at the front desk at Spring Hill Street? Is there any other business for the good of the club? I'm gonna officially adjourn us because I don't know, I feel like I need to, and then we're gonna go on the tour. Any other business before we bring this into bell again? All right, we're kind of adjourned, but we're really not. Stay around.
so with the adjournment, when the tour is concluded, you're free to go. You can hang around if you want to. My guys, do what? Okay, maybe you can.
We're gonna have to go back into home.
Exactly. I have to think about people go home. They don't want to leave for obvious reasons. I mean, they just hang around. Go home, y'all. So how many people watched the virtual ribbon cutting? Anybody? Okay, several people did. All right, I'm gonna start out by playing a very short video.
To see what it's become. This beautiful building. Geographical center of the city, which will give us an opportunity to respond more quickly to every area of the city.
At $29 million, the headquarters building for the Brentwood Police Department is here.
This is the biggest project in the history of Brentwood, from a financial perspective.
The idea of a police headquarters has been discussed for years. In the last 5 years, we've seen a change in society relative to the police department, law enforcement, and how we recognize the flaws we have in City Hall, and breaking in terms of security, access, all those kind of things. It really drove us to a point where we had to do something.
This is agreed to Brentwood City Commissioners in 2017, and all agreed that it was time to put this long talked about plan into action. The architect company hired in 2017, and the city already owned the land at 910 Heritage Way.
We have the sites, we had to make the sites, which are the sites we did a great time.
Much of the next 2 years was spent planning and researching. The groundbreaking in 2019 meant the building was finally becoming a reality. The indoor gun range is 25 yards long with 6 shooting lanes, moving targets, a complete ventilation system, and rubber materials that can absorb every bullet fired. A nearby soundproof room will also house an interactive shooting simulator to help with de-escalation tactics. And the building location provides access to Brentwood's major thoroughfares.
That's huge. That's huge. That will allow us to do our job better, and services that we and hopefully continue to improve on the quality of the services that we
Right through the front doors, a municipal courtroom will double as a space for the community.
There will be an opportunity to expand on programs that we have in place, like our Citizen Police Academy, like our neighborhood watch program. It belongs to the citizens, so we want to like that they are welcome there, and we want to share some new relationships with the citizens, and I think this building will see that. Every state of the art for the entire state, exploring, and first better the city manager, we're having the best push forward, be able to put certain defensive buildings. It's totally neat.
These are the opportunities in the field that we're out. To be able to look back 5, 10, 15 years from now and look at this community. Yeah, I know that what it meant for this community.
My time is coming down. I understand. My heart and soul goes to Brentwood Police Department.
And Brentwood is a place that runs strong on tradition.
Jeff and the guys, get this done, and I'll be busy with pride and appreciation and gratitude. The thoughtfulness of the city and the police department to remember the past and push forward the whole learning the past.
And the past will certainly be a big part of this new state-of-the-art modern building.
I can't help but get a little teary-eyed every time I see you.
I know.
Well, again, test your memory, and I know for some of you in the room, it'll be a little tough, but Norris, it's been at least 2 years, or maybe longer, but remember the presentation I made to the Rotary Club when I was talking about why we needed a new building and why I thought it was justified and plans to move forward and all of that. It's finally here. It is a reality, and we couldn't be more excited. We're tickled to death. We're not completely in. So as you go through the tour today, we were doing construction right after the minute y'all came in here. No kidding. We got work going on back at the judge's bench. We have electricity off in the other half of the building. I think it's back on. So you're gonna see stuff that's not complete. We got some more graphics that are coming. This wall out here in the lobby is gonna have California farm on it. That's not there yet. So there's some things that are still not in place. Pictures are not on. You'll see them leaning up against walls, boxes. We're not unpacked yet. We were moving this morning. We're moving evidence this morning. So it's a huge undertaking. So we're gonna give you the best of what we got. And we're gonna have to break you into two groups because it's easier with small groups to get through the building. And to do that, I'm gonna have all of the three women come with me. Just kidding, just kidding. This is my assistant chief, Richard Dickey, over here. And so I'm gonna take half of you and he's gonna take the other half. So let me take these three rows up to, sorry, Doris, Skip. I'll take that group and, Sybil, why don't you join us, and Mark, you join the back group, and Jason, you join the back group. And so my group will go, we're going to do the top four, and Richard's group's going to do the bottom four and start this way. Yes, sir. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, no problem at all. You're not going to see anything sensitive at this particular time. We're not fully operational. We're still having to book people at the old police department because we don't have our fingerprint machine and our camera set up yet. So we're still a work in progress. Okay. Any other questions before we get started on the tour? Yes.
If you've got your food on the table, you finish, don't throw it away, leave it on the table.
Yes.
Our trash can is full, so we'll take care of it.
No problem. We'll take care of that. That's no problem at all.
How many people work yet?
Well, we have 85 total employees, 67 are police officers, and the remainder are civilians. So they're not all in the building right now, but
When we have 67?
67 officers. 67 officers. That's correct. Yes, sir.
The glass structure on the ceiling, does that serve a special purpose, or is it just? Where now? It looks like there's a glass building on the top.
No, that's a screen. That's a protective screen to camouflage and hide all the heating and air units and stuff. That's the only purpose. It's just camouflage. Yeah. And there's a landing table there for future helicopters.
So tell them about the RPE on.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So that's a great question. This is a 55,000 square foot building. It cost us probably closer to 28 to 29. We have $1 million contingency that we stayed well within our budget and actually came in under budget on the building. So we're very conscious of spending the taxpayers' money. But we got everything we needed. There's no doubt about that. We didn't really cut any corners when it came to essential things that we needed to make this building, because we're building it for 30, 20, 50 years out, okay? We wanted it to last. We wanted to build it with expansion in mind.
How many acres?
This is about 7 acres.
Brian Gossett.
Brian Goss is very good, and that's why he's not here today. Yeah, if you saw the ribbon cutting, you know, they've got multiple buildings, and we got one. Like Chief Watson said, in the ribbon cutting, size doesn't matter. He is the fifth fire station. Yes, he is the fifth fire station, so, yeah. Good question, great question. All right, so if I can have everybody that I called off, follow me, we're gonna go to the stairwell, and with my passion stuff, we'll fill way back there. And if you've got anything that you want to leave it here, you can, we'll come back here before you leave. Yep. Yes, you can. My group, we're going to go this way. We're going to go to the stairwell, and we'll start upstairs. Somebody. We're gonna go to the stairwell. If y'all walk right in there, I'm gonna tell Richard one thing. I forgot to tell him.
Yeah, not all in.
Well, what did everybody other than Michael have?
I'm getting ready to.
Alan is here. Yeah, you can give him grief.
Yeah.
Okay, gang, we're going up the stairwell, and we'll come back down this area. We'll tour the bottom floor on the way back. All the way up the stairs.
Yeah, Fred's got me some moonshine. I love it. He's awesome.
His daughter, I'm sure. His he was in the senior living class over the building. He goes and does wine tastings for them all the time. They love him.
Okay, when we get to the photo, it's not
Y'all let me know when everybody's up here. All the important people are here. Right. Yeah, I strategically picked my group. Y'all notice that? I left Norris out. Okay. This was a 2-year project in designing and redesigning and drawing and redrawing and moving stuff around because we wanted the flow to be right. We wanted to drive everybody to a central area. We wanted to facilitate engagement and communication within the building. So this is the employee entrance. Everybody comes through this door. All of our fleet out here is in a secure parking lot, which we didn't have at the old facility. Everything was open to the public. So everything is now enclosed with a fence, and there'll be a gate that you have to access with one of these key cards to get in. Okay? We're not going to actually tour the annex building, which is out back here. On the front side of that is where the Williamson County ambulance is going to be housed. And on the back side is a couple of vehicle bays. We have a vacuum, a car wash, a K9 kennel, and some storage areas. We're not going to go there because it's got a lot of construction stuff still in there. Okay? So people will come in, the employees will come in, and we're going to walk out here before we start. I'm going to show you the memorial wall, and I'm going to show you our bronze line that overlooks that memorial wall. When we started the planning back in 2017, I didn't want a memorial wall. And we talked about that. I said, nope. I said, that's bad luck. If we build it, then we're anticipating something bad's going to happen, and I don't want a memorial wall. Well, lo and behold, we lost Destin last year, and those plans changed. So now Destin's name is on the right side of this wall. Hopefully that'll be the only name that's ever engraved on that wall. But we took the opportunity on the left side of the wall, as you'll see, to honor retirees. So anybody that meets the definition of a city retiree, that's 20 years at age 55, that spent their career with the Brentwood Police Department, has their name engraved on the left side of that wall. Okay? The bronze line over here on this base was a cost of about $45,000, raised solely from donations. Kirk tasked me to try to get that money funded outside of the cost of the building because it's pretty elaborate, and we did that in less than 2 weeks. That was no problem at all to get that raised. People were glad to donate.
You should get somebody for the doctor.
Exactly. Got the wrong guy. So the line overlooks the memorial wall, similar to Washington, D.C., where the lines overlook the memorial wall there for the officers that have been killed in the line of duty. Okay, so when you come in the building here, you can go right to locker room, break room's right here to my immediate right. You go left to patrol. You can go diagonally to CID or diagonally to administration. okay? And everybody will have to pass these screens, and it's not functional yet, but these screens will have information, bolos, court dates, anything that officers need to know, they'll be scrolling with information. These screens over here will have birth dates, anniversaries, things personal and family related outside of the break room. Every officer will have to pass their mailbox, check their mailbox. Had to check mine today. So, we are going to have something other than post notes. So we'll have real nameplates up there. Again, that's a work in progress.
We're really tight.
Exactly.
This is the only construction project in the last 3 years that's coming under budget.
Yeah, in the world, exactly. So we wanted this triangle kind of effect when you come in. So you got CID, admin, control, so that it creates that engagement. Okay, so let's all walk outside. You can look at the memorial wall. You got an outdoor eating area. Yes.
How many canine?
You got one canine dog. And
Hey Jeff, what's the wash for? Just to clean off your shoes?
that's a boot wash.
Okay.
We'll be coming in here with your dirty boots.
Yeah.
You got a boot wash over there. Yeah. So this is the roll call room. This is where officers start their day. And somebody mentioned about the glass, a lot of glass. You're going to see as you walk through here, we got lots and lots of glass because we like the transparency. And you have this film on the window that gives you a sense of privacy, but you can still see through it. A lectern will sit here. That's where the supervisor will give out the marching orders for the day. We can have training on these screens here, and if you'll notice, we dedicated this room to Destin Legeza. So this will forever be the Destin Legeza roll call room. We've got some marker boards that's going to be on this wall. We've actually got one of the marker boards is shadowed with a sheepdog overlooking a flock of sheep to signify and symbolize our role as protectors. And around the walls here, you'll see there's 23 quotes on the inside of the wall here, things that are kind of important to us. Me and my command staff pick these quotes out, and it's just some reminders of things that are inspiring. You know, my favorite one up here is "Courage is being scared to death, but saddling up anyway." John Wayne. So you know that's one of my favorites. But so they'll come in, they'll have their roll call, and then they'll hit the street. Okay, let's walk on around through patrol. We're going to go through their office. Officer Franklin Kao is actually working on a report. This is the report writing room. We'll take reports downstairs, but if you're completing a report or doing something that you can't do in the car before or after a shift, you can come in and do it right here on one of these computers. Note that every desk in this building is sit to stand. So every desk raises, so you can sit or stand, your choice. Okay? This is the patrol division, and on this side is our work area where you'll have a supplies, copier, those sorts of things. My lieutenants, my road supervisors are on this wall right here. Okay, they have their own office. Sergeants are in the middle here with cubicles. They've got a touchdown space, but they're typically on the road, so they don't need an office per se. Captain Jim Colvin is over patrol. He's over here in this corner. He oversees the whole division. We've got a storage room. I've got DARE and crime prevention over here in the corner. They used to be in a building outside of, they were on Sunset Road. They weren't even in the municipal center. So now we're all back under one roof. Down here on my far right, y'all's far left, is the directed enforcement team. That's where we can work on accident reconstruction, anything that involves the FARO, which is a 3D technology that allows us to reconstruct accidents. So we're going to walk through this area, and you can peek in these offices if they're open and take a look at them.
So much thought went into this.
Oh, we study. Look at me. Step out here and say hi. Everybody knows Sam. Come here. Step out and say hi.
How are you?
I've been here
still working.
Oh, it's good to see you.
This is one of our most famous police officers, Sam Bates.
That guy right there. Oh.
So this
You're
is
under
one
the
group, you're gonna have another
Yeah.
group coming through, so.
And finally, I'm in the house with everybody
I know.
else.
We got him back with us.
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
So Colin Lane, recently took Mark Wood's spot, who retired, so
Yeah.
Colin Lane's in here as well.
Got him this really fancy souped up car too.
Exactly, he's got a nice souped up car. so-
Well, it does what it needs to do. It draws the interest
Who
of the
designed that
kids.
car?
Huh?
Who designed that car?
Myself and Mark. But with the chief's permission.
That's right. And through donations too.
And through donations.
Really?
That's right, yeah. Citizen donations.
So this building over here behind Tom is my vehicle maintenance guy. I don't know if he's in there or not. Hey, that's David Gossett. Poke your head out, say hi. So David maintains our whole fleet. And we have somewhere just north of 70 vehicles that he maintains, because every officer has their own vehicle. So David oversees all of that. And he's kind of the quasi quartermaster, and beyond his office, which you will not see, is our storage area for surplus equipment. And that goes right into the vehicle bay, so if David needs to do anything, minor repairs, installs with vehicles, he can go right into the bay to do that. Next, we're gonna come into the bag and tag area, and I'll tell you here, as we pass through, the bag and tag area is where you package evidence, okay? So, put it in a package, seal it, and you'll put it through a pass-through locker, and the evidence custodian will come get it and take it down to the vault, okay? So take a look as we walk through here. We've got refrigeration units, pretty much anything and everything that you would need to store equipment.
So do the officers use the x-ray machine themselves?
This is not an x-ray machine, this is a vacuum.
Oh, it's a vacuum.
This is
I was
so,
thinking
this
they
is
were
so if you're
vacuuming.
packing in something that's, that with fingerprint powder or something like that, you can suck it up and it moves. I haven't used it yet, but.
Are there any times you have to scan a package for, unknown contents or something like that?
We don't do a lot of that kind of stuff here. We have capability to call outside resources to do that, but we don't have that capability here. We will do some computer analysis. We do our own cell phone forensics and computer analysis, and we do some of our processing that you'll see downstairs. Okay? All right, so let's come on around this way. This hallway separates patrol and CID. You got the employee restrooms here to my left, and if you took that hall, it goes right back down to the employee lobby. But we're going to go around to the Sally Port. So the evidence custodian can access these rooms to take the evidence down, take it down to the vault. That door there goes through to David Gossett's office, which I'll tell you about on the other side. You have two bays in here. This side is intended to be a vehicle bay. It has water and air above us here. We can do minor vehicle repairs in this bay. And this side over here is Sally Port. So this is the arrestee side. So notice that Jared is on the arrestee side. How appropriate, right? And everybody else is on the maintenance side. So if we have an arrestee, we close this gate. We'll close this gate so we have security. Officers will pull up to the Sally Port and use the car key to get inside the Sally Port, and once they're inside, the door will shut behind. Okay? I'm going to go through to the booking room. No, you just, one of y'all can hold it. And it could be the prisoners to be fingerprinted and photographed. We do not store prisoners here. All of our prisoners are taken to the Williamson County Jail. All right? So you will get your fingerprints on this machine here, which is not functioning yet. It's not hooked up. And then, ironically, where Dad is standing is where you have your picture taken. And the camera will be mounted somewhere in this area here facing this
Turn your
wall.
light down, Devin.
The restroom here is for prisoners only, and it's sterile. In the old building, we had to have prisoners use the public restrooms, which was not always nice because you had other people of the public in there and employees. And, you know, you're talking about some really, really bad people or crackheads, meth addicts. They cannot flush the toilet in there. Tom, what you're looking at is a switch that allows me to turn the water on and off so they can't flush any contraband down the toilet. Okay? This room back here is an interview room. So that's where we put the heat lamps on you. If an officer needs to talk to somebody that's arrested, they can go into that interview room. That light above Skip's head indicates that someone is using that room. So if you flip that switch off behind you, Skip, the light goes off. Okay? So that's how officers know someone's in that room or not. All of the interview rooms are audio, video recorded. That right there starts the recording. If you flip that switch, it starts the recording. Okay? Should I flip it? No, don't flip it. We don't want to get Devin recording. We're going to enter into CID now. So we're going on the back side of CID instead of the front side. So we're coming around the back of their office and we'll come out the front side, okay? Which goes right back out of the employee lobby. That's how everything, every division just circles back to the employee lobby, okay? Regardless of what division you're in. All right? So follow me.
It's a little nice. It's incredible. It's pretty amazing. Very nice. Pretty amazing. I like the 2 floors. It's all.
Well, we had a 16-foot fall from back to front, so it allowed us to do that.
Wow.
So, as you come through here, the detectives have 2 interview rooms, just like the one in patrol and the Sally Port, or the booking room, I'm sorry, that you saw. Same lights, same audio, video recording capabilities, and as you come down the hall here, you're going to see a monitor room on your right. And if you'll look at the screens when you come by, I can sit at my desk and monitor any interview room that's going on. Any supervisor can do that. But if a detective is watching the interviews, they can sit here and watch what's happening in real time. You'll see those screens as you walk by, okay? This is the detectives' conference room. So this is where they may have roll call, where they have their big meetings, so forth and so on. But this is their conference room, and we got lots of conference rooms in this building.
How many detectives do you have, Chief?
Get in here.
How many detectives do you have?
We got more officers than we got detectives.
Right.
We got
10 officers, 1 captain,
1 lieutenant.
Yeah.
You don't leave me there.
Where is it now?
5 or 6.
It's 7 actually.
7.
Well, that's you know about it.
Don't let me know.
I think it's 6.
Okay, so this is the detective office spaces, right? And so on the left and on the right are offices, individual offices, just like Maria's got here. Everybody's got their own space. We've got more offices than we've got detectives, all right? This is a teaming area. So if Sybil and I were coming together to talk about a case, we can lay our stuff out here. We can have a teaming opportunity. Down there, same thing with stools. So you got storage under this teaming area. Down there you have stools. You got a TV if you want to pull up reports, pull up cameras, pull up things to talk about. That's another teaming area down there. Behind Lori, and I don't know if that's set up, Lori, is the digital forensics room set up? Give them a peek in there. We want it, the room's small, but this is where all the magic happens. So all criminals today, used to we caught criminals with fingerprints and DNA. Today we catch them with these. If you have one of these and you do something bad, you're ours, because we're going to catch you with our digital forensics. We got cell phone forensics and computer analytics. So anything and everything you do is forever following you, including your location. So that's how
That's how we solve the majority of our cases today.
Really? Just the location on
I can't, but I probably got people that can.
Based on just your.
Hey, Jared, will you hold my phone?
And people can't do without them. We're attached to them. You can't do without it. You gotta have it, right? So, I mean, you're done. All right, so we're gonna move down this way toward the entrance of the CID.
Thank you for your service.
I was, yes, I was so back on call.
Maybe they'll deal with This is also an interview room, but it's a soft interview room, meaning that it's child friendly. Oh, yeah. Boards are lower, we got boards that roll around. So we don't do forensic children interviews because that takes a specialist to do. But this is a child-friendly environment. We can put cartoons on the TV and so forth. If we're talking to a parent or something, but that's Captain David O'Neill over here behind you.
We're going over legislative training for the TACP.
I understand. So don't let us interrupt.
We're at the end of it.
So this is the entrance of CID that takes us right back to the employee lobby. This is a waiting room. You can just take a peek in here. So if you've got somebody you're interviewing and they come with a spouse or significant other, they can wait in there while we're taking care of business out here. Okay? And we're going to go right back to the employee lobby.
Do you have the, what do you call it, access?
No, gosh, no.
Yeah, me.
No.
Big sir. Everything's big sir.
Yeah, me too.
Isn't that fun? I mean, that's just fascinating, isn't it?
Notice we're back in the employee lobby, so we just made a circle. We went through patrol, you can circle. Went through CID, you can circle. Yes, sir?
All right, we were just talking about the door handles.
Yes. You can't hang yourself on that door handle. Think about it. There's no way to hang yourself. And we didn't really ask for that. That's just part of the design that the architects came up with in the areas that we have interviews and so forth, so they put them all throughout the building. I didn't point out that if you look, the flagpoles are perfectly centered with the view looking out over the interstate. This is a receptionist area that we currently do not staff. We do not have a receptionist, but at some point we probably will. That person will come down and get folks, bring them up if they're seeing detectives, if they're seeing the chief of police, because you can't come through this part of the building unescorted. You have no access to this building, okay? Or to the second floor. The second floor is completely off limits to the public, unless you're escorted by an employee. And you wouldn't be able to get anywhere because you don't have one of these car keys. Okay? So now we're going into admin. Follow me. Let everybody get in.
We sure did, didn't we? Look at you.
We got 1980 version.
Let's sit tight just for a second.
I think our whole crowd could fit in there.
We need a alumni
We could have had a Rotary meeting.
class or graduate class.
That's a great idea. We were saying if you took the police academy, you've got.
And you come down the hall there, the administrative officer's on your left and your right. You have the assistant chief, you have Lisa McDowell, who is my everything, really. She does all of our payroll, all of our accounts payable, receivable. She's on vacation this week, but Richard Hickey, who is doing the other tour, is in that first office. My lieutenant over professional standards is in the office by Randy. This is my home, obviously not completely like I want it yet, but as you pass by, you can see, I can access all the traffic cameras. I can access anything going on in this building. I can watch people shooting in the range. Pretty much any, I've got access to all of the building without even leaving my desk. Behind Mayor Little is my conference room, so where we can bring folks to have a larger meeting. if you will.
You said traffic cameras, not the ones outside?
Yes, that's, yeah, like the interstate. You're gonna see the
Yeah,
interstate
yeah.
right now on my TV.
Is that right?
And as you come down the hall, you're gonna see, this is my administrative captain. I've got a smaller conference room here, and I've got future offices. I've got Jim Montgomery in this office, who's my recruiter, and I've got a future office that's not currently occupied, and we're moving toward dispatch. So if y'all come on down this way.
I like your Jack Daniels.
Oh, yeah.
That's
I ain't got it
nice.
done yet.
I know, but it's nice.
I thought it was very selfless, on my particular window office.
Well, I wanted the conference room to be on the window.
That's very nice.
So, as you pass by this room here, this is the war room. This is the emergency operations center. And you'll notice there's monitors all around the walls as you come by it. If we have a disaster, if we have a critical incident, we'll all come to this room right here, and we can communicate and function with the county, down on Century Court, with the municipal center, and the folks back up at City Hall. We can do it from this room. It stays set up. Everyone has a phone, a designated phone, and this room is used exclusively for emergency operations. And now we're going to enter communications. Wow. Or what will be communications.
A little bit bigger space for them.
A little bit bigger space. And not a dungeon.
Exactly.
And windows.
And windows, not a dungeon.
Oh, I love all the natural light. It's great.
Pretty. Look how pretty.
This is the future home of dispatch. They will move later this year, probably closer to December. And that's because they're an enterprise fund, and the depreciation of their furniture is at end of life. And so it'll be time to replace the furniture. And we have to have them fully functional. So when they flip the switch to leave headquarters and start working here, it'll literally be turn that one off, turn this one on, so there's no interruption in service. Does that make sense? They've got a view, which they've never had. They're kind of in they're in a dungeon now, if you will. It's dark and gloomy, and not conducive to the best moods or attitudes, as you can imagine, with the things you're dealing with.
Right.
These shades are automatic. They go down depending upon the sunlight. So if the sun's setting in the west, these shades would come down automatically. As we go around, we're going to go through their little break room. They have their own break room because they can't leave this room. I got a supervisor's office here. I got a training office here behind the mayor. And they've got a balcony they can step out on. If I have a smoker, they can step out and smoke. We don't have a lot of smokers left. But if they just need to get a breath of fresh air, if they've had a bad call, they can catch their breath, they can have their dinner out there if it's nice. They got their own little area. So we're going to circle around.
Can you fish?
Well, half of that pond is ours, as I was telling somebody. The line goes actually right through the middle of the pond. So if you do fish on this side.
Hey, Dad, he told me, he said we could.
No, this will be what we call consoles or workstations, and all of the wiring is under the floor. So what they'll do is they'll take up these tiles, these are square tiles, and like that floor right there, if you'll see, they'll pull the tile up and all the wires are under the floor, so they'll plug them where they go. Depending on how much we have to expand. So you can expand, and you got the wiring under the floor, you have wires running all over.
Just be a desk.
Exactly. That's correct. Okay, goes around this way.
How many dispatchers at any given time will work? Because I know you have to have around the clock.
Impressive.
Circle around and go right back there. That's all I
We're not interested in that. Who needs them?
Go down this hallway here.
How many square feet did you say that's? 55. Wow.
Thank you, sir.
Everybody get through here. Explain these rooms.
I got it, thank you.
Nursing room.
That's what I was.
Take a nap in here too. Napping room.
Okay. So down this hallway here, you pass the ladies' locker room, which I heard someone in there, so we'll try to go through the men's locker room. It's the same, the men and the women. And these 3 rooms here are quiet rooms. They're actually recliners that make into beds. And the room Tom is beside is actually a lactation room, which we had to have.
Take
So,
your time, Tom.
yeah, take your time. If you need to step in there, go ahead. We have dispatchers, we have officers that have to double back because of bad weather, because of court and things where we don't want them driving all the way home and then driving right back to come in for court, or if we have bad weather where they can't get home, they can come in here and actually take a nap, sleep, and get up and go right to the shower room. Women's shower room's right behind Keely, and I'm going to show you the men's shower room. If I can get us through there with nobody changing. All right. We bypassed the IT hall, but I'm going to take you straight into the workout room now. For me, this is the wow moment. For some people, it's the firing range, but for me, it's the workout room. And all of the equipment in this room was funded by Bill Aiken, who is a longtime citizen of Brentwood. So everything that you see in there was funded by Bill Aiken. No taxpayer money. Yes. And we dedicated, this room is dedicated to Bill Aiken. So you'll notice the racks are personalized with our logos. The sound system in here is amazing, so you can hook up your phone to Bluetooth while you're working out. You've got TVs, you've got rowing machines, you've got treadmills, you've got skiers, you've got bikes, you've got all the free weights you can ever want. If you come back at about 2 o'clock, you'll see I'll be in here about an hour from now.
This is a wow.
This is a wow.
Yeah.
This is a wow.
You got a trainer for these guys?
We've got guys that write programs every day for our folks, and we've got a fitness program. So when I became chief in 2012, I started a fitness program because I wanted our officers to be physically fit, not only for themselves, but for their partners and for their families. And we had never had anything like that before. And we set a test based on minimum standards, national minimum standards. And at that time, only 55% of my officers could pass the minimum standards. Today, that was in 2012. Today, 91% of my people can pass the minimum standards. So that's a tremendous accomplishment. Something I'm really proud of. And if you don't use it, I mean, if this doesn't make you want to use it, I don't know what will. It's your fault. If you want to stick your toe out on that, we got an outdoor working area, or workout area, and where that yellow pipe is over there is going to be our grill, so we can do hamburgers and stuff. And if you step out on that mat, simple, step out on that mat right there and tell them what it feels like. So we got an outdoor workout area. Like a playground. Like a playground. So we got a lot of guys that do their workout outside. Your choice. Okay? We're gonna go back and try to go through the men's locker room. Let me give it a quick peek before y'all come in.
Yeah, exactly.
This is Officer Holly Lemmy.
Hello.
Mark, can you stay dressed just for a second?
Bringing in 30 people and a live video feed.
Billy, can you stay dressed just for a second? Can you stay dressed just for a second? Please. Okay, everybody's got their clothes on, so y'all hurry. Come through here. This is the men's locker room.
I keep thinking.
So all the women are going first.
Of course we are.
All right, as you pass through, I have officers getting ready to go on shift for evening shift at 1:30.
Clearing the fire.
30 minutes before on shift.
We gotta go quick.
You can take a quick peek at their locker here as you go by. This is Officer Brian DeLapp's locker. And we have three private dressing rooms that have showers, toilets, and sinks. Women have 2 private dress rooms. Every officer has their own locker. That's Officer Brian DeLapp. This is Officer Billy Townsend. This is Sergeant Mark Stevens.
How are y'all?
And there's Santa Chris.
Those are my
Hey, how's it going?
No privacy, I'll tell you it's terrible. There you go.
Yeah, nice.
Where you at?
They're the officers, you don't get.
I will, but some of them choose to carry their personally owned ones, so they have an option. This is the break room.
Nice.
We drive everybody here, you'll see they're still working on the refrigerators that are being installed. This is the indoor, outdoor area that you can eat, and you notice that we circle right back to the employee lobby.
Right.
Everything circles right back to the employee lobby.
Smart.
Okay? 1:30, there'll be a roll call, so those guys will be in roll call at 1:30. That's half the tour, okay? Now we're going downstairs. Okay. Right. Yes, it is a good tour. Yeah. All the boys are down. Never heard of it, but when
Imagine that would be his pinup.
can you show your picture?
I remember you. I don't know if you remember me. It's so good if they could have won one in Guru.
Okay, guys. This is the training commons area. So if we have any training, it's going to occur down on this floor. All right. The training supervisor, Captain Alan Horcastle, who's right over here, over your shoulders here, he's over all of training. Okay. This is our training classroom. And this fella behind me he lives on in infamy. Most people know Tommy Campsey. That's just a picture that resonates with us because of our community service. We've got some other photos coming like that haven't arrived yet. We've got swag over here. So as you pass this table, grab you some swag. I have hand sanitizer. I have 50th stickers. This is the 50th anniversary of the Brentwood Police Department. I have first aid kits, and I have 50th anniversary coins. So grab you some swag as you go by. This elevator goes right back up to the employee lobby. Those steps actually go, you obviously know that goes back up. We've got employee restrooms over here behind the little break area. We came from down this hall, so we passed by records, which you saw from the employee lobby. That's the point of contact for the public. I'm going to now take you into the crime lab, and I can't take you into the evidence vault, but I can at least show you where it's at. Okay? So grab some swag at some point. Here we go. Very modest. Yes. Yes. That's a weapons clearing system. So if they pull the trigger, we hope it goes click, but if it goes bang, we're okay. Hey, Bill, can you just open the door and stand there to give them a view? They're not going to actually go in there.
Those things used to be just 55 gallon drums still the same.
So y'all come on in this room first. Yeah, exactly. Come on in.
Did COVID change a lot of the processes? What? Did COVID change a lot of the processes for like bagging evidence or anything?
No, I didn't. All right, this is the crime lab. To the extent that we process evidence, we do it in this room here. We have fumigating chambers, which is like here, the super glue stuff. We also have a fumigating chamber here. We have a drying cabinet here. We have another one up in the vehicle bay. That's for bloody or wet clothing that we need to air dry. Anything that has to be forensically analyzed, like marijuana, Any contraband has to go to the TBI. We've got a fingerprint machine over here. You fingerprint, takes the dust out, so you're not bringing those carcinogenics. As we go back by, Al, you'll look into the evidence custodian's locker. That's Officer Bill Reed. He's going to hold the door open so you can kind of see the evidence vault. We have all of our evidence stored in there, including our guns and our narcotics. Any murder that's ever occurred in Brentwood, all of that stuff is in the evidence vault. As you walk down that hall and we go back toward the community room, eventually you'll see a property return area, and that's if you were coming to retrieve something that was lost or found, you get it at that window there. I talked about the records room. There are three, well, I'll talk about that when we get back down there. Okay, so let's walk back out to the commons area. We're going to go back down toward the firing range. Okay, Bill. Can you give a peek?
Who is shooting at today?
Yeah. You kind of peek at the evidence as we go by.
Too many units for it.
So do I get Mark?
I do. Smart. So there's no like, you don't send it to archives and some
That's organized. That's everything. Classroom is over here, like I said, and we're gonna move down toward the firing range.
I'll tell him.
Yeah,
I did talk to him.
I tried to get Roland to come with me, but he.
Okay, what you pass through is the gun cleaning area. So back there, where Mayor Little is, that's where we'll clean weapons. Okay, this area you're standing in right here is the ready room. If you're waiting to go in and shoot, this is where you'll stand. You'll be able to watch what's going on inside the range on this TV screen here. You'll know it's in use by this sign here. We'll hang this weapon. This is the weapon that was used by the suspect in the shooting in 2002. We put that there as a reminder that it can happen even in Brentwood. We're going to put a picture of Stephanie Bellis and her shooting through the windshield over here, just to remind people that, you know, bad things do happen in Brentwood occasionally. Behind you is the armory. That's where all of the excess weapons will be stored. And now we're going to enter the range.
Man, that's a chilling photo of Stephanie. That is just chilling. Wow. Sweet.
All right, everybody. I'm going to turn it over to Alan. Let Alan tell you a little bit about the range once we get everybody in here. All yours, buddy.
All right, what you're seeing in here is our firing range. As you can tell by the yardage marker, we can shoot 25 yards, actually 30 to the grid wall that you're standing against. Now, if you look behind that wall, you'll notice it's hollow. It's a grid. That's the airflow for the ventilation system for the range. In firing ranges like this, especially indoor ranges, a lot of people, you know, are always worried about lead contamination. Well, that doesn't come from the projectiles unless you get shot with it. It comes from the primers. When you ignite the primer by shooting the gun, the lead in the primer vaporizes, and the danger from lead is from inhaling that. So we want to make sure there's plenty of airflow in the range. There has to be quite cubic feet per minute of air flowing down range. And if you'll notice, it's slightly ramped up since we walked in here. You'll feel air blowing down that way. There's big vents up behind the steel plate at the back of the backstop. Air is flowing down that way. Okay. 25-yard range. It's a tactical range. When I say tactical, I mean you don't see the lanes and the booths like you do at National Armory or Royal Range. In these commercial ranges, they want to contain people into an area and keep them from shooting this way or shooting that way, because there's people up and down the range. You don't know what skill level the person is next to you or how safe or unsafe they are, so they try to limit that as much as possible. They don't even want you drawing from a holster in those commercial ranges. In here, we wanted a tactical range because in the real world, police shootings are very dynamic, they're rapidly evolving, and they involve a lot of movement on both the suspect's part and the officer's part. So when we train, we want to be able to train in a dynamic way and be able to move from point to point and shoot down range. Our target system was installed by Paragon Tactical. We're able to do quite a few things with this. We can turn the targets, we can shoot them front and back. I can turn them on their edge so that you can't shoot it. We could set our course of fire, for example, our qualification course. We can program it in here, and I can hit go, and the targets will do exactly what they're supposed to do according to the time limits that we have set in our qualification course. We can put targets on the front and the back of these backers. For example, one reason that we might want to do that is we may want to put a couple of bad guy targets on the back side of those targets. And in the course of my programming here, I can tell those targets to turn and face the officer for 2 seconds or 3 seconds or 4 seconds and see what the officer does. So they have to make a decision. Does good guys and a bad guy, and if it's a bad guy, oh my gosh, I got to shoot now. So it's decision making in here just as well as just plain shooting. So we want to work on the skill and the fundamentals. We also want to use this target system to help develop decision making. We can face all these on the front. We can have them on their edge, or I can have some of them. I can pick certain targets and just have certain targets turn. I can tell.
He could potentially have all good guys on one side and one bad guy, and then depending on them turning, the officer has to make a decision on which is the good and the bad guy.
Yes. Wow. Exactly. We also have one, I don't have it set up yet, the running man. There's a target behind these that hangs from up above the steel baffle that you put a target on it and it can go back and forth. We can program that running man for direction, we can program it for speed, and we can give it other commands like we can tell it to hide and we can tell it random. And what that means is it'll find a target down there and it'll go behind the target and it'll hide. It'll come out a little bit and then it'll go back behind the target. Then it'll take off to another target and it'll hide behind that target. So it makes the officer and the shooter, it makes them have to decide on what to do. They're taking all this information in and they're having to decide, is it good, is it bad, is it a safe shot, is it not a safe shot. So a lot of decision making we can do with this target system. So that's about the target system. I'll talk very briefly about the backstop. The backstop is ground up tire. There's between 60 and 80,000 pounds of ground up tire in that backstop. It is rated to stop up to 50 caliber. So we can shoot a 50 cal Barrett in here if we wanted to. I wouldn't personally want to be in here with it. I've shot a 50 cal Barrett outdoors and it's loud enough out there, especially if you're standing off to the side. The concussion would be pretty significant. This would be primarily for our handguns and our patrol rifles that we issue and carry. It will take probably up to 1 million rounds before we have to mine the lead out. We'll probably not shoot 1 million rounds in 6 or 7 years, probably. But we have that ability to go an extended period of time before we have to mine the lead out. You'll see behind, at the very top of that pile of rubber, you're going to see a piece of steel, black steel that's coming down at an angle. That's the steel plating backstop. It is actually a gravity hopper. So that ground up rubber is also in the top of that hopper. And as we shoot and that rubber starts to settle down, more of that ground up rubber falls out of that hopper and replaces it. So we have quite a bit of that rubber in there. If you'll also notice on that, you'll see kind of a white looking coating on there. That's a fire retardant coating on the rubber. I don't know if any of you have ever seen a rubber fire. I used to work for Bridgestone Tire back before I got a real job and came to my senses, but you catch rubber on fire and it'll burn forever. Months. It'll burn forever. You don't want a rubber fire in a place like this, so it has a fire retardant coating on it to prevent that. Any questions about the range? Cameras, yes. There is a camera down there that looks down on each target. This was not working correctly right now, so I'm going to have to fix that. But you can zoom in on this target. Like, for example, if you have an officer like we had yesterday that needed to zero a patrol rifle, we pulled one of those tables over, he sat here in a chair at 25 yards, and we put a zero target up down there, and he was able to zero his rifle without us ever having to walk down range. We could see it on that screen right there. And because we knew that each one of those squares was exactly 1 inch, we knew exactly how far he needed to adjust his optic to get it perfectly zeroed. So it's a big advantage. You don't have to constantly walk back and forth up and down the range.
So are the officers required to do a certain number of hours in here?
Yes, we're required to train a minimum of 8 hours per year by the state.
Oh, okay.
We far exceed that. We average a number, we're required to do 40 hours of in-service training. Last year we were 133, Chief. In there. So we usually triple the amount of what's required by the state. As far as firearms training specifically, we'll be in here pretty frequently.
So to that point, with the, I call constitutional carry, but permitless carry that's just now passing. And if you read the article I did with the Williamson homepage about my opinion about that, which I'm pro Constitution, I'm pro gun carry or gun ownership and all that. But where is the sense that we, as the police officers, have to train 8 hours a year by law, and the average citizen has to do nothing to carry a gun with them out in public? Makes no sense. So
because your job is just made 100 times harder.
Exactly.
Because you can doesn't mean you should.
So my point is things in the past that have been fistfights are now going to become gunfights. And in the last 2 weeks, we've already had several instances where we had a road rage incident where somebody actually pulled their gun and racked it and pointed it at somebody. We had two neighbors that came out and somebody raised their gun, showed them they had the gun on. I mean, it's going to get worse.
That was in Brentwood?
In Brentwood. It's going to get worse. So you're going to see that all over the state. Okay.
As long as obviously
as we walk past,
we don't have unlimited supply. And it's going up significantly. It's going up.
As we pass by to the simulation room, you're going to see the defensive tactics room. We're not going to go in there, but you can look in there because you have to take your shoes off to get on the mats. You got 2 heavy bags. All the walls have padding. All the floor has padding. That's where all our defensive tactics training is done. Look in that room as we go by. We're going to head to the simulation room. And that's the last stop.
Do you have hockey practice in here?
We do. Absolutely.
Yes.
That's how we clean for press.
Yep.
It's your breath.
Or else there's a reuse for tires.
You police.
Yes, sir. No incendiary or green tip ammo.
Now, I'm supposed to do that.
No. This is Officer Collar Lane and Officer Brian Kirkpatrick, and they are they're both highly trained to do a multitude of things, but one of the things that they specialize in is defensive tactics. And peek in the room there, and you can see that's where we do all of our come-alongs, our takedowns, and I'll let Colin talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so we're dedicated for our hand-to-hand, force-on-force training that we do. Primarily, well, a couple things. When we teach our officers defensive tactics, it's martial arts based, but it's really specific towards our profession, clearly. Things that we can and cannot do based on the situation. So putting a deadly force situation aside, our thing is getting compliance and de-escalation. Okay, so that's what we're really focused on. So, you've got people that, when I say returning is fighting, well, there's like an act of aggression where they're just not doing what you want them to do, they're not really fighting you. And then there's someone who's really trying to hurt you, fight you, take stuff off your belt. So we address those two things. But more often than not, it's the act of aggression that hey, I'm giving you a lawful command, you're not doing what I tell you to do, you're putting your arms up in your chest, and I've got to get your arms and your handcuffed, things of that nature. And so that's most of what we train for here. The reason we have the padding on the sides, on the ground, is because most fights on the ground, you move your footing, and there you go. Okay, so that's really what this room's dedicated to. And now we no longer have to share anything with the fire department. So we're in here, and
We still let them come down so we can beat up on them.
Yeah, use them as dummies.
but yeah, so when officers they're off duty, if I'm available, Officer Brian is the trainer. It's in-house all day for us.
Thank you, guys. As you walk by, take a peek in there. We're going to go to the simulation room. We call it the de-escalation room because this is decision making. When you talk about the range, we talk about proficiency. When we talk about the simulation room, we talk about decision making. Shoot or don't shoot. Okay?
Yeah, Chris.
Where you get a good line of sight. You may have to double up if you need to. Short people in front.
All right, don't be shy. Come on in. If y'all want to kind of come in a little bit more towards the middle of the room, like Chief Hughes said, if we need to kind of double up, we can.
I think I qualified.
So, all right, do we have the full group?
I think this is it.
All right.
Yep.
All right, I'm Officer Phelan. This is Officer Troy, who'll be assisting me today. This is the Vertra Systems training room, so also known as the de-escalation room. Big improvement over where we were at the old police department. We had the simulation room was essentially set up in a conference room upstairs, had to be set up and taken down each and every time. Pretty big process to set up. Didn't work half the time because of that having to be set up and torn down each and every time. This is a much better setup. This room's sole purpose of existence is to house this system. So that means as long as an instructor is present, it can be set up and run anytime on demand. For if a shift supervisor decides that he wants to work on something with his shift, and grab an instructor, bring his guys through here, and then we can work through it and do what we need to do in addition to our standardized departmental training. There are essentially 3 different things that we can do with this, 3 different categories of training that we can do with this. I want to talk about the first 2 in detail, have Officer Troy do a demo, and then we'll go into the third. So the first thing that we can do with this, there's actually quite a few things on here that we can do with basic marksmanship. So Officer Troy, if you'll pull your pistol for me and stand over real quick. So the weapons, now in this case, just to keep it short and sweet for the demo, Officer Troy's just going to be using the handgun for these scenarios. But all of the weapons on these scenarios are weapons out of our armory that are issued and carried by our officers on the street that are modified for use with a simulator. So this is Smith & Wesson M2.0 9mm handgun straight out of the armory that all of our officers carry. This particular one was modified with a new barrel assembly and a magazine that runs off compressed air. So when you pull the trigger, the slide cycles with the recoil of the gun, so you get that recoil impulse, you get the slide cycle, and when the scenarios are running, there's also shot noise that we can crank up or crank down as we're needed. But they all, for a pistol, rifle, they all run off of compressed air. There's also setups for OC and taser, so we can use our less lethal options as well. You'll holster that for me. So the first one for marksmanship, we've got some simple setups that for target shooting. So if we have somebody that's struggling, like a struggling shooter, we can bring them into this room. As you see, it's nice, quiet, like a one-on-one environment with an instructor, and we can work on marksmanship fundamentals here without going through a ton of live ammo, which I know if we've got any shooters in the room. We know that's kind of a desirable commodity right now, so we can work on a lot of stuff in here without ever going to the range. Now, once we get the fundamentals hammered down, then we leave the stuff here, take them next door, and then actually work through it on the range. So what we'll do, if you ladies will excuse me, I'm gonna jump into the chair here. Now, a couple things, I'll have him do this a couple times. If y'all both, if you can, both try to watch the screen and see what Officer Troy sees, but then also, look behind here, you can see what the instructors see as well. All right, Officer Troy, be on you. So, once it loads, so he's gonna smoke that plate rack, and then so this is an example of, you know, there's plate racks, there's traditional target setups, there's a whole bunch. This is just kind of one of the simple and fun ones. Now we're gonna do it one more time. I want you to do the same thing that we did last time, just miss a couple on purpose. So
Takes the pressure off.
So now if you watch my screen, so if we've got somebody that's missing, there you go. So it shows the bullet strike. So if he's missing, then we can see where the bullet's striking. So I can say you're shooting high, you're shooting low, you're shooting to the right, you're shooting to the left, etc. So that's one of our tools that we can work with shooters if we need to. So we're going to move out of that segment and then go into the next one. So this next one is just a basic one of several scenarios that we have on here, and we're gonna go. It's called Air Gun Commandos.
Top 34, respond to the area at Forest Park Trail and Highway 260, reference and check activity. Passerby reporting several juvenile subjects dressed in camouflage, playing war games and possibly drinking alcohol. Subjects are near a small black pickup truck along the trailhead. Caller is also concerned that the subjects will drink and drive. No further information. Turn 45.
Hey guys.
Oh, sorry, so sorry.
It's fine.
Just carry on.
It's fine.
After the flag.
Do me a favor, just put those weapons on the ground, keep your hands where I can
Hey,
see them, okay?
guys, the cops are here.
There's other people here with you? Guys, do me a favor, put those weapons on the ground and keep the hands where I can see them for everyone's safety, okay?
Are we in trouble or something?
Not in trouble, I just want to make sure everyone's being safe out here, okay? If people called, they were concerned, okay? How old are you guys?
Just playing airsoft.
Okay, that's fine. Is anyone drinking out here? Everyone?
They're air guns, they're fake.
I understand, that's fine, okay? Just keep your hands where I can see them, okay? Just want to chat, make sure everyone's being safe. How old are you?
I'm 17, Toby's 23.
And who's Toby? Is he here right now?
He's my older brother.
Okay, where is he?
Yeah, he usually carries a real gun.
Okay, okay, is he here? Sir?
What are you doing here?
Sir?
We're just trying to have fun.
I
Are you going to ruin our fun?
Do me a favor, put that gun down, do not reach for that gun in your pocket.
Even your tourist.
Drop the gun, put your hands where I can see
Get back
it.
in your cop car
Sir,
and get out of here.
Sir,
We're just drinking
drop the
beer,
gun and
trying to
put
have
your hands
fun.
where I can see it.
All right, so good job, Officer Troy. So this scenario, like I said, there's multiple scenarios on here. As I said, with working on de-escalation training, de-escalation is a tool that we want our officers to have out on the street. We want them to be as proficient as we can, but we also want to know, want them to be prepared. De-escalation is great. We want all our people to be proficient with it, but sometimes it doesn't work, because for de-escalation to work, both sides have to want to de-escalate. Sometimes we always want to make sure we're de-escalating, but sometimes the other side of that doesn't want to play that, and we have to prepare them for the times where it doesn't work, or sometimes it's just not an option, as in some scenarios on here. It's kind of a split. There's a couple scenarios that are strictly verbal. There's actually no force involved. It's strictly communication. There's also a couple scenarios there's pretty much no option. It's bad stuff's happening. You need to deal with it, and where Chief Hughes puts in with the decision making, even on those where there's not necessarily any de-escalation, there's a lot of threat identification and decision making. Is this a threat? Should I shoot it? Should I shoot? They're shooting at me. They're definitely a threat. A lot of the scenarios are somewhere in between. Those of you looking over my shoulder, you saw where there's options. A lot of these scenarios as instructors, we can, depending on the scenario, some have more branches than others, but we can oftentimes branch out on the scenario, take it different directions. Just like in real life, if there's a certain point that we want to make, or a training point that we want to get across, then we're going to have it set on that outcome, and it pretty much doesn't matter what they do. They're still going to end up with the same outcome, and that's, that happens in life sometimes as well. There's other times where we'll play, like if we key in and say somebody's doing a particularly good job of communicating, then we can go some different directions, increase compliance, that sort of thing. So there's lots of options. Yes, sir.
Imagine this, if every scenario we trained on ended in deadly force, what are we conditioning our officers to do? We don't want to train like that. We want to train that where if the officer is doing what he's supposed to do, he or she, by their verbal commands, then we want a peaceful outcome in a training scenario, so that we're not conditioning officers that every situation ends in a deadly force, okay? And it's split second. You can see when this guy came out of he pulled the gun, it's a split second, okay? That's the kind of, people want us to, they want to armchair quarterback us after a major incident happens. You literally have a split second. You don't have time to think. You have to react, because action's always going to be quicker than reaction. And they know what they're going to do. We don't. So they're going to always have the jump on us.
And an example of that, so the third category of things that we can do on here, there's a whole category of simulations on here called human factors. These are basically just like simple drills that are validated by the Force Science Institute. Basically, they collect stats from all over the country as far as perception, reaction time, and they kind of tabulate that data, and that's where we get some of this information from. Like, for example, there's a scenario on the human factors. If we have time, we're going to do a different one. But one that I do like to mention is there's a scenario on here through the human factors where the suspect pulls a gun, shoots, and then turns and runs away. Now, based on perception and reaction time, so for the officer to see what's happening and respond to that threat, and based on where the suspect is oriented at that time, it's impossible to not shoot this suspect in the back. So that kind of that whole scenario is an illustration of that. There's others that involves a subject with a charging knife, etc. If we have a couple minutes, Chief,
you do go ahead and do that one. I just want to point out that what he's talking about, when we're tried in the court of public opinion, the media would have you believe that we're shooting someone in the back that's running away. But I want you to look in real time at what's happening and the officer's reaction. And even though it may look that way to the layperson, you have to understand what's happening from the officer's perspective at that point in time.